Hey, my name is Saba and welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking to you about my first designer purchase as an attending physician. Throughout this video, I'm going to go through the process of how I picked my first piece and how I saved up for it. Throughout this whole video, it's going to have just a lot of information that I feel is applicable to every single large purchase you can make, and it can be scaled up and it can be scaled down depending on what your goals and priorities are. So without further ado, let's jump into the content. So throughout medical school and residency, for those 8 years, I carried the same handbag. It was like this hobo bag that was a really nice leather initially, but I just wore it so much. And it was discolored, it was peeling, it looked like it was dirty, it was really just disgusting. So by the time that I finished residency, I just really wanted to replace it with something that was really nice. This wasn't like a big dream of mine to have a luxury designer bag. Like if you asked me like a few years ago if I ever thought about owning a designer bag, the answer would be heck no. Like I never even like imagined like having pieces of this caliber in my wardrobe. But I don't know, it was just something that I wanted to purchase to celebrate being a physician. A lot of my biggest dreams are not financially driven, but this was just something nice that I wanted to have. So prior to purchasing my first piece, I was lucky to be introduced to the works of Marie Kondo and Ramit Sethi. You might already know Marie Kondo from her new Netflix series, but before that, she was already a world-renowned organizing consultant and author of the #1 New York Times bestseller, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, which truly changed how I perceived material goods and other things that occupied space within my life. The premise of the book is ruthlessly striving to keep only things in your life that spark joy. She goes on to say in her book that tidying is not the final destination. It is just a tool to help you establish the life that you want. So before even starting the tidying process, Marie actually recommends that you first visualize the life that you want. And thereafter, select the things that you keep to be items that spark joy and are also consistent with that ideal lifestyle. And that visualization process helped me find my own style, which is classic, feminine. I'm really inspired by royalty, actually, but at the same time, I don't want to sacrifice comfort and functionality. So I wanted a bag that evoked that kind of style. One of the difficulties that I found with Marie Kondo's style of tidying up was that it makes it really hard to make, for me, to make new purchases because of the thought and the planning that goes into every additional piece within your wardrobe. I wanted to go through that process just once so that I can invest in all of the other things that matter a little bit more to me than a bag, such as my health, my family, paying off my student loans, savings, and all of that. So I was looking for a bag that met every single one of my style needs and my functional needs. One bag to rule them all. I was looking for something classic, but still very functional, lightweight, comfortable. I could wear it crossbody so my hands were free. A bag that would last me for at least a decade, that can carry all of my things, and I do carry an awful lot. I wanted the bag to be a neutral color, but not black, because I already have black hair, dark eyes. I wanted something that contrasted a little. I ideally wanted something that wouldn't depreciate in value, maybe something that I could pass down. So with all that in mind, and after a ton of research, I finally found my bag, which was the Turenne by Louis Vuitton in a size GM, the largest size, which was unfortunately discontinued a couple years prior to me starting my search. So I looked at a bunch of different bags after that. I looked at a Ferragamo, which was a really discreet tote bag. Then I looked at the Fendi Trois Jours, but the calfskin leather was extremely delicate I was afraid that it wouldn't wear well, and the pointed ends of the bag were very delicate, and actually when it came shipped to me were bent already. I even looked at the Givenchy Antigona. It's such a heavy bag. It's made of all leather. Even though it's a beautiful bag, it would stick out really unflatteringly against my body. So after much research, I finally found the bag that I was looking for. The Speedy Bandouliere by Louis Vuitton. A bag that's been made since the 1930s and made famous by none other than Hollywood royalty, Audrey Hepburn. Interestingly enough, before I purchased my first Louis Vuitton bag, I actually thought it was really an unattractive piece before I knew what it was. But I found that this bag fits like everything that I want in regards to style aspect, but it's also the most functional. Like, canvas is incredibly lightweight. It was definitely the lightest out of all the bags that I tried. So after I decided on the bag that I wanted, I had to figure out how I was going to pay for it. In order to save for the bag that I wanted, as well as help me out with my financials in general, I looked to the advice of Ramit Sethi.
Hey guys, Ramit Sethi here, author of the New York Times bestseller, I Will Teach You to Be Rich.
He basically teaches people the financial savvy necessary, as well as how to overcome their own psychology to build the life that they want. His guide to personal finance is one of the best guides to personal finance available on the internet, and it's completely free. I'll link all the information below, but a huge component of personal finance that he talks about is automating your finances. Basically getting everything set up so that you can pay for things and save for things without having to exert much effort. So one of the concepts that he talks about in automating your finances is this idea of sub-savings accounts. So like Ramit, I set up a savings account with Capital One 360. And within this particular account, I have about 8 sub-savings accounts. And through direct deposit from my employer, a certain percentage or a certain amount goes from my paycheck to each of these accounts. One of these 8 accounts is reserved strictly for luxury items on my wish list. That is how I save for things. So you can apply this information however you want, but this is how I applied it for this purchase. That particular handbag I purchased about a year and a half ago, so its price with taxes was the price of the bag now. So, for example, I wanted that bag 6 months from starting saving. I get paid bi-weekly, so every other week, $121 would get deposited into the sub-savings account in order to save for this bag. By the end of the saving period, I had enough money to buy the bag. Now, these designer handbags, they do increase in price over time, so this price will go up. I just ate the cost of the price increase. I didn't factor it into my savings personally, but you can. So after I accumulated enough money for this bag, I paid for that bag with my credit card so I could earn frequent flyer miles. And then I used the money in my sub-savings account to pay off my credit card. I purchased my bag at a Louis Vuitton boutique, and I feel like for me personally, more thought is required in order to make a designer purchase, because for most boutiques, the return policy is it has to be in new unworn condition and returned within the first 14 days. So I saved for about 6 months for this piece. I ultimately decided to go with the Speedy 30 because I was worried that the 35, although it was functionally more consistent with my lifestyle, I was afraid that the size of it would overpower my body. Unfortunately, I realized that I made a mistake, that I should have went for the 35 because I carry my life with me in my bag. It was kind of upsetting, despite all the research that I did, to find out that I went for the wrong bag. So about a year later, using the same principles, I purchased the Louis Vuitton Speedy B in 35. This bag that I am in love with, it is huge, it does overwhelm my frame, but it is definitely more functional. I can carry all the things that I need to carry. This is in the Damier Ebene. I don't think I'm saying that right, but the reason I went with this was because it was a really subtle print that's not very well recognized. I am not really big into vachetta leather because it patinas and ages, and for me, I do want my bags to look as close to brand new as possible. So that's why I went with this particular leather. It has a zip top. That's important for me from a security standpoint. Plus the opening, especially in my Speedy 30, isn't really very big, which can be cumbersome, and the zipper would kind of scratch my forearm and a little bit of my wrist, which I did not like. I feel like I kind of like that in a way because it's just a more secure bag than the Never Full tote, which I know is very popular, and I hope to add that to my collection at some point. But I really wanted the security of a zip top bag. One thing to know about the bag is that this leather is incredibly stiff. Carrying as much stuff as I do, the leather did weigh on my shoulder and cause me some issues. I do have some shoulder issues to begin with, so I needed a more comfortable strap, and using the same principles, I invested in the Monogram shoulder strap. Because of my height, I'm 5'2", it really sits well on my frame. And I can wear it crossbody, though it is meant on, I think, people who have a normal height to be just a shoulder strap. I do really like how it contrasts with the Damier Ebene. And if I want to be more discreet, I can flip the strap over and just have like that black contrast. This particular strap was made in Spain. It does have that information when you reverse the strap, which I don't know if I'm a fan of that. So this is the strap that the bags came with. This is in the treated leather. It's really stiff and doesn't really give a whole lot. So if you have a large bag and if you're carrying a lot of stuff, which I usually do, I found this strap digging in to my shoulder in a very uncomfortable way, even when I had my winter coat on. Currently, it's in the setting of crossbody, this full strap. You can remove the center of the strap so it can transition the bag into a shoulder bag. I always kept it like this when I was using this strap. Another thing that I didn't like about this strap was this metal. Whenever I would wear my hair down, my hair would get caught in this, which would actually pull on my hair, and that was really uncomfortable. So that was another reason that I purchased the shoulder strap separately, which for me works as a crossbody, but I gained a little bit of weight since then, and it really doesn't. It looks like I'm suffocating, and isn't the cutest crossbody strap ever, but that's fine. I'm fine with that. I find more structured bags are more consistent with my style, so I do have a base shaper that I purchased for this bag. I also did buy a purse organizer from Samorga, but I felt like it decreased the overall space I had in the bag for all my stuff, and it gave like a way too structured look to the bag, which I didn't like. So that was the story of my first designer purchase. Like I said before, these concepts of investing in something or saving up for a large purchase can be scaled up, scaled down, depending on your priorities. If you're saving for a car or your designer bag, these are all concepts that are applicable to so many purchase situations in life. So I hope you found that this video helpful. And if you liked what you saw, don't forget to subscribe to my mailing list, where you can get more tips on how to live a more satisfying life, however you define that.